Okay, first off, anyone would like to start everything first off, or I guess the moderator will have to warm the crowd up again. I see a lot of familiar faces. Thank you for coming again. There are a lot of young filmmakers in the crowd. You know who you are. I would expect you to ask some questions, please. Okay, I guess I will have to fire the first salvo. This film is easily one of the rare Singapore films that is shot on film. 16mm film. I'm not very sure if you have noticed it. I would like to ask Daniel, why did you shoot the film on film? And knowing that it's actually kind of like an outdated technology in the entire independent filmmaking scene, you know, how did you go about doing it? You know, it's such a rarity nowadays to watch something on full celluloid, which is pretty nice. So could you maybe bring us through the reasons why you shot it on film, and how did you actually manage to do that in Singapore?
Well, it wasn't really presented on celluloid. I wish it was presented on 16, but we don't really have 16mm projectors in Singapore, so this is HD cam. It's still digital, digitally projected but shot on film. Well, I think shooting on film, the biggest difference is the process, right? You know, the product. I mean, I don't know how many people would know that it's on film, you know. To me, it looks, I don't know. But the process of shooting on film is completely different because you're working with film and you're always loading film, and your takes can't be longer than 10 minutes. So, and I like the process of working on film. I think it's the best format to shoot documentaries. I think there's a reason why Frederick Wiseman still shoots on 16, because when you have a digital camera, the camera is always there, right? You can just turn it on and people will forget about the camera. But on film, the film camera is so big and so noisy that nobody will ever forget that it's there, you know. But it does give you like a really good advantage because you're always working. You always feel like you are working, and you're always loading film and checking the light and measuring light and all that. And the subjects will, you know, I mean, because I'm shooting a lot of the times I'm shooting people working, and I'm doing my work. It's a form of labor too, and I think they get used to my presence being there. We're working side by side, and they don't ever forget that the camera is there, but it's kind of like a different relationship with the camera. Does that make sense? It's not a fly on the wall kind of cinema, very table shit, you know.
So you actually made it more purposeful that, you know, the people that you wanted to film are aware of the camera.
Yeah. None of it was filmed secretly. I don't believe in filming secretly. Well, I always ask before I film. So, yeah.
Any questions so far? Yes, no, maybe? Has this film been travelling, or is this the first?
This is the premiere.
Oh, this is the premiere.
Which I'm excited about because it's about Singapore, and I'm excited that Singaporeans get to see it first. But thank you everyone for staying to the end, because I know it's not easy.
Anyone would like to actually add on to, you know, the fact that it's not easy or otherwise?
Any criticisms?
Why is that there are occasionally got some black screens?
Oh, interesting. Okay, the question was why is there occasionally some black screens? It has something to do with the entire process of filming, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, please go ahead to share with the audience.
So the first black screen was intentional. I wanted the film to roll out, and then a new film starts, because it's basically two films. You know, there are two, like one is a fiction film and one is a documentary film. But then the fiction film behaves more like a documentary, and the documentary film behaves more like fiction, but anyway. So the two films were supposed to be paralleling each other. So if you noticed, so I wanted the black to be a significant break, you know, so that you will see two films. The two films actually start, they actually start completely similarly. I don't know if you noticed, with almost the exact same shots, and then they break off and do their own stuff. So the first black was because of that. The second black was a process of working with film. It just rolls out, you know. And there was important things. And I think when my grandfather was saying those things, I think the best thing was for it to be on black, because he's talking about cinema, and he's talking about the camera, and he's talking about, you know, what's behind the camera. And I think it's really appropriate that you don't see anything when he's talking about that. And he's talking straight to you guys, you know, a voice from the dark talking to the dark.
There was a lady or someone that raised their hands behind simultaneously.
What was the hardest part about doing this film?
What was the hardest part about doing the film?
Getting you guys to come. Making films is super easy. It's like the simplest thing. Everybody can make a film. You know.
What is the second hardest part of making a film?
I don't want to talk about technical stuff because that is very boring. I guess film is really difficult, you know, it's really rare in Singapore. To find a place to process film and to telecine and all that is getting increasingly hard. It's like a hegemony of the digital world. We want to be a digital hub, but I say bullshit, you know. Digital is, I'm done with video. I'll never shoot on video again.
Very brave filmmaker. Any other questions? No, sorry. Let the guy over there speak first.
Sorry, what message are you trying to convey through this film?
What message are you trying to convey through this film?
Well, I would like to ask you what you got out of this film, or did you get anything?
That we ought to appreciate our family more. That's how I interpret it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think well, the film is called Eclipses for a reason, you know. Besides the fact that the second half completely eclipses the first half, you don't see the main character, Val, who's sitting there, by the way, who is an actress, and the most intelligent actress working in Singapore, probably. So, yeah, besides the fact that the second half eclipses the first half, I think it's also about who are eclipsed in Singapore, and what we want to see and what we don't see. I think in movies especially, we never see labor these days. We don't ever see work. I mean, we do see a certain type of work, and it's always police work, you know, and not even real police work. And I think it's important to actually see people work, because that's what we do, you know, 2/3 of our lives is we work. So I think it was important to see and for me, I didn't have, I mean, okay, I could tell you about how the film came about, which would be simpler. So the film came about two things, okay. Firstly, I was making films, and my really close friend of mine, Yasmin Ahmad, died, and after that I got, you know, I was depressed for a really long time, and I wanted to give up filmmaking, because I found filmmaking really manipulative and full of artifice and bullshit. So I made this short film called Rumah Sendiri, and it was in Shortcuts this year. I don't know, some of you might have seen it. And I think that film got me interested in filmmaking again, because I could shoot people, and I could let people do what they want to do and say what they want to say, you know. So I thought that was important, to allow people to have that space to talk and to present what they want to present to the world. So for me, when I started this film, I was saying no more hiding, you know. It will all be the truth from now on. I don't want to tell any lies. I don't want to tell stories. I'm not interested in stories. And so, well, but first I came up with a story of Val, you know, which is the actress in the beginning. So her husband dies, and then she goes into her own world, and slowly she begins to make connections with the people around her, and slowly she comes to realize that she's connected to everyone in society, and that's how the film splinters off into a second film, right? And so that was in part my story too, you know, which was what happened to me when Yasmin passed away, and I think how the film was shaped was really determined by the people who were in the film. You know, I wanted them to tell me what to do. Even when Val was acting, I didn't direct her. You know, I wanted her to tell me how she wanted to express herself in front of the camera, and I think everything in the editing and camera was dictated by that. You know, I didn't write a single word in this movie, not a single word. Everything was written by the subjects themselves. Only the ending monologue was not written by the subject, which was taken by a French novelist called Nerval, Gérard de Nerval, from the 19th century. He's a surrealist. So that's the only monologue that wasn't written by the subjects themselves. But I thought it gave a good conclusion to what the film was about. So I don't know if that answers your question, but...
Kind of.
Yes.
I was wondering actually, because there were many interesting snapshots of individuals in the film, but I was wondering if there was anything which you shot which you left out, and maybe more generally, how much footage did you shoot and what actually ended up on screen?
I shot a lot.
What was left out in the film? Okay.
The film was supposed to be 4 hours long, and everybody was telling me that I'm crazy making a 16mm 4-hour long film. But it was supposed to start out with Val, and then go to the people around her, and then like expand even further to see just places and landscapes. And then it would go back to Val again and conclude Val's story. But after I shot the scene with the children, and it was Val's idea, I was actually pretty reluctant to shoot it, but Val thought we should. And I think Val is often more right than I am. I always realize much later in the process how right she is. So she suggested that I shoot it, and I did. And when I shot it, I knew that I wanted to end the film with that, because it just provided such a great conclusion, you know, to showing the next generation who's going to grow up in the society that we make today, and how for them they don't have notions of class or race or language yet. You know, it's hope for me, and so the ending for me is really hopeful. And so I decided to cut all that, you know, and just focus on people instead of landscapes. Yeah, and I shot a lot of, like 50 rolls of 16mm, and and I had to. Well, I'm planning to use the landscape footage to make a landscape film, but it won't be part of this film. It's a different film.
So there were other characters that were left out, or are you saying that you've shot a lot of, you know, Val and other characters, but then you've cut it down, or were there other characters that you have left out?
There were some characters who were left out because I thought that they were either repeating what somebody else said, or they were, you know, they were talking about things that were completely different. But I do think like those characters were super important too, so I'm thinking of incorporating them into a new film.
The sequel or the DVD release.
Yeah, director's cut.
Director's cut, yeah. Directors love director's cut releases. Yes.
Why was that part so great?
Why were some parts so grainy? Okay.
Because I didn't use lights. And film is amazing because you don't have to use lights and it still appears. Like one of the last shots with in total darkness with the face appearing, that was illuminated by a computer screen. And I love film because you don't have to worry about your f-stop. You know, you can just shoot whatever you want and it'll still come out. And that's what video can never do.
The man in the back, please.
Was it an intentional decision to involve so much of the people around you? Was that generated from the very beginning, or was it more organic, like along the way you decided to shoot the people around you?
Okay, so Can everybody hear that question? So, at the beginning it was supposed to be, okay, I came in because I want to remake Europa 51, you know, which was Val's story. And then at one point, Val, I didn't know if Val could commit to the project, so I started thinking of, but I already bought all the film stock, so I had to make a film. And I was thinking of doing The Man with a Movie Camera, if you know, the Vertov film. And I wanted to show portraits of society and the different classes. And so I wanted to start with people, the people around me, and then expand to the people, you know, a lot of other people. But in the end, Val could make it again. So I decided that it would be a good idea to just mash those two films together, and maybe people can have something to compare the two films, you know. And so that's what I did. So the second part was basically I wanted to shoot people around me, and then literally shoot society around me. So I'm Val who's rediscovering society, which is really my story too. And but I did shoot a lot of other people, you know, like people I didn't know. We later became really good friends, but you know, a lot of them just ended up being cut out because I think my family formed a really strong core, and when I didn't want other people to be just comparisons, you know, they shouldn't exist just to be compared to my family. So so people who I left in are really significant to me too. They're really good friends of mine. And what was I gonna say? I think that's it.
There was another guy who raised a hand. Yes.
Yeah, I'm just curious as to why you name your characters players at the end.
Sorry?
I'm just curious to know like why you name your characters players at the end.
Oh,
Why you name your characters plays?
Players.
Oh, players.
the players?
Yeah, the
Well, that's
credits.
what I do in all my films. The players is a way of saying actors. It's old Hollywood. In old Hollywood films, credits are always the players, not cast. And they are playing a version of themselves, you know. It's not entirely documentary.
There are two more hands in the middle. Yes, sir.
Was the intentional use of stills made such a way that you will feel like you are spectators?
Was
Stills?
the intentional use of stills?
As in, you freeze the frame, you didn't follow the character.
Or the still shots after the characters
Static
exit?
shots.
Oh, okay. Was that, just to clarify your
As
question?
in, you didn't quite pan or do zooming. It was like still kind of shots.
Okay, I get what you mean.
Yeah.
So you mean the camera doesn't move
Yeah.
and it's static?
Yeah.
So I think what irritates me the most in contemporary cinema is that it reframes too much, you know. I think the camera should be an independent entity, right? You know, you shouldn't want to see everything because it's impossible to see everything. You know, it's kind of like a bracket, so you bracket things off. You know, so and the fact is I like to shoot close-ups and close-ups. In close-ups, you are literally bracketing things off. You choose what you want to see and what you don't want to see. And sometimes when the characters move out of frame and into frame again, you know, that's a way of saying that there are things that, you know, that exist beyond them. And I think a lot of this film is about what exists beyond us. You know what I mean? So.
There was another hand in the middle just now when suddenly 4 hands shot up. Or was that just an iPhone game or something? Yes.
In a lot of the portraits, you keep shooting beyond a point where the subjects are prepared to give, and you stretch their patience, and also the audiences. Can you talk about that? I mean, at which point do you decide to cut that? There's an arbitrary point?
No cuts are arbitrary. No shots are arbitrary too.
So what do you decide those cuts based on? Where are the points?
Well, based on emotions, I think Val's monologue was the most significant for me because I held on to her face for like almost a minute after she finishes talking, and I thought the minute was the most important thing in the entire monologue because once she stopped talking, she feels.
What she just said.
Mm-hmm. And I felt it too. And I felt like that was the important part of the monologue. I think when we talk, we don't feel or think. You know, words come from somewhere else. It comes through us. They come through us. And after the words leave us, we're left with the trace of the words. And that's emotions.
Any one more question? Okay, I shall round it off by asking you one question. Do you consider yourself then more of an organic filmmaker instead of a filmmaker that portrays life in fiction? What is your direction now?
What's the difference?
Because I mean, just now you mentioned that you're pretty much fed up about contemporary filmmaking,
Yeah.
and you want to use a camera to observe, to get people to be pretty natural. So I consider that being more of an organic filmmaker than to be presented with a script and to hire actors and so on and so forth. So what is your direction, in terms of that?
I guess for me, I think what's terrible about contemporary cinema is that people are talking so much and talking, but nobody's listening. And I want to listen. I think the most important duty for a filmmaker is to listen and not to talk, because the world is talking, but we are not listening. I think which is why I hold on landscapes too, because my approach to this film is that I want to let people talk, right? And when there are no people in the frame in this landscapes, the landscapes are talking to us too, but we are not listening. We don't see anymore. I think in films these days everything is edited to present one point of view, and a lot of the times we don't even see. They don't even want us to be seeing. They don't want us to be aware that we are watching a film. But it is very important to be aware that we are watching a film, because we need to be seeing, and we need to be aware that we are seeing and listening all the time. That's how we think, right? That's how we feel. And I think that's where I approached this, because when I lost interest in filmmaking, when I was really low, I think I was really I just couldn't watch my films anymore because I thought they were so indulgent. It's just somebody talking about himself and his feelings all the time. And I'm not interested in my feelings anymore, I don't want people to be listening to my feelings. I want people to listen to what's around them, And I want to listen, I think I'm talking too much right now, because I would really like to be listening to what every one of you says about my film, be it good or bad, be it you like it or dislike it. I want to know what you think of what you how the film can work for you, because I think we are obsessed with what films mean, when cinema should be about how it works for you, how you can use it in your life. And if you can't use it, it's fine, If people walked out, it's completely fine, because they don't need the film, and it doesn't offend me at all, because I do that all the time too. But yeah, I think cinema has lost this opportunity to teach us things, to help us see things. When cinema began, that was what it was about, to help to see things that we could never see before. And now cinema is about seeing things that we've already seen millions of times before. I'm not interested in seeing things that I already know. I want to see things that I don't know. And so I was hoping that I would be able to show you things that you don't know, and through talking to me, I can learn from you, like what I don't know either, what I'm missing out. So I think it's a great way for dialogue rather than expression, because expression is just one way and dialogue is two ways.
Okay, interesting. We have to end. I think we have to vacate for the next film. I don't know whether it's Johnny English or whichever. Is it an SIFF film, right? Oh, okay. But again, thank you very much for coming down. I think Daniel will be around. Val, the lead actress, is here if you would like to speak to both of them and create the dialogue. But sincerely, thank you very much for supporting new Singapore filmmaker in its feature debut. So please join me in giving Daniel another round of applause.
Thank you for coming, and I want to thank Simon, who might be back there, because he saved my life. There were a lot of problems with the projection, but thank you so much. You saved my life, seriously. Yeah. So the projection was beautiful, thanks to Simon. So thank you.
Thank you.